This is Jim from the Encourage Network. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. I'm having a good day. I am here and I just want to say hi. My channel, I haven't been live for a while, but I got a little time off from work and I just thought I would do a little live feed and try to just shout out. I have some ideas that I want to do on this live feed. I want to like explain myself as far as where I'm doing on my channel. Right now on my channel, I want to kind of go into some book reviews that I've been reading. There's a book that I've read, and I'm in the process of reading. It's The Jesus I Never Knew, and it's by Philip Yancey. It's a book that I'm halfway through, and then I went back and I started reading it real carefully and making notes because I thought it was so good. And I suggest anybody that is looking for a good Christian book to read, this is a really good one to look into. I'll go over it a little bit with you and to kind of give you a synopsis, at least of chapter 1, and share with you some other things I have going. I want to invite people to share my activities when I'm doing my live feed. I'm going to show you some other things while we're doing this. I'm going to show you my van that I'm renovating, 2021 Ford Transit van. I'm renovating into a camper van. I'm going to kind of go through that today and kind of show you that. I want to show you the bike I've been riding. There's a bike I've been riding for the last month, and I'm starting to get my endurance back, and I feel like I'm starting to get in really good shape again. Also, I'll show you my little gym setup that I have in my house, and maybe I'll find something else to show you that's that I'm doing that I think you might be interested in. I'm really enjoying life right now, and today is really nice. This is a beautiful day, and outside of Houston, Texas. I have a little time off, like I said, and got to go back into work Monday. But yeah, I'm enjoying life, and God is good, and I just want to go from there. I'd like to start off with some prayer for you. Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you for everything you've done for us today. I praise you. I exalt you, Father. I want to thank you for all your blessings you've given us, and hopefully this live feed will reach somebody in some way, and your Holy Spirit will work through me to guide somebody in the path that they need to be guided to. Heavenly Father, thank you for everything you've done for us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. And I thank you for that. This is a live feed, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to go on it. And if anybody has any questions, just ask, and I will try to do my best. So right now, I just want to show you, this is the book that I'm reading right here. I've been going through this, and just to give you some synopsis on it, it's the Jesus I Never Knew, and it's not a big book. It's 275 pages, and I think it's really good, and I think people can really get blessed by it. Right now, part 1 is who he was, and chapter 1, the Jesus I thought I knew. Suppose we hear an unknown man spoken of by many men. Suppose we were puzzled to hear some men said he was too tall and some too short. Some objected to his fatness. Some lamented his leanness. Some thought him too dark and some too fair. One explanation would be that might be an odd shape, but there is another explanation. He might be the right shape. Perhaps, in short, the extraordinary thing is really the ordinary thing, at least the normal thing, the sinner. So what he talks about in this first section is the preconceptions that we have for Jesus. I mean, when we all went to Sunday school when we were young, if we did have the privilege of going to Sunday school, at least when I went, they usually had paintings up The author is saying here that there was an oil painting that hung on the concrete block. Jesus had long flowing hair, unlike that of many men I knew. His face was thin and handsome, and skin waxen and milky white. So his notion of what Jesus looked like was a white male, and probably blue eyes, long hair, and that was probably his notion that he got, and he carried that with him for a while, from what I'm reading here. There's another little section I think that'll kind of help you out here. Recently, I read a book that elderly Charles Dickens had written to sum up the life of Jesus for his children. In it, the portrait emerges of a sweet Victorian nanny who passed ahead of boys and girls and offers such advice as, "Now, children, you must be nice to your mommy and daddy." With a start, I recalled the Sunday school image of Jesus that I grew up with, someone kind and reassuring with no sharp edges at all. A Mr. Rogers before the age of children's television. A child, I felt comforted by such a person. Yeah, so I felt the same way when I was young. Jesus was the guy holding the lamb. Yes, and Jesus will come again. Jesus was the one holding the lamb, and he said in his book here that he thought that Jesus was holding him, that he was that lamb inside of Jesus's arms. And I thought that was really cool, the way he explained that. And then he said later, when he attended Bible college, he encountered a different image. A painting popular in those days depicted Jesus hands out, stretched, suspended in a dolly-like pose over the United Nations building in New York City. Here was the cosmic Christ, he called it, the one in whom all things in here, the still point of the turning point. This world figure had come a long way from the lamb-toting shepherd of my childhood. So when he was in Bible college, he was saying that, you know, the picture and what he thought about Jesus was the Dalai Lama type Jesus, which I think is interesting. It's the cosmic Christ. And you see how people's preconceived notions are. And that's why the book is, I think it's really good, and it was very eye-opening for me, the fact that he gives you those ideas that you really never had, the notions, the preconceived notions, the preconceived images in your head of what Jesus truly is really interesting to me. Well, the context of the book is Jesus I never knew, and he's trying to give you, in this chapter, he's trying to give you the preconceived ideas and thoughts of what people thought Jesus was, is what I'm seeing in this. So that's the context as far as the Dalai Lama. It's not like it was, I think, isn't that a Tibetan monk, or anyway, it's a religion. But it was Jesus like in a pose like this, or, you know, like with his arms outstretched. So he said he went on. And so then a little later, and this guy is older that wrote this book. Yeah, okay. I probably got that wrong, but the Dalai Lama, right? It's in the book. Still, students spoke of the cosmic Jesus with shocking intimacy. The faculty urged us to develop a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and in chapel services we hymned our love for him in our most familiar terms. So a little later, the decade, in the 60s, he was thinking that the Jesus that he knew were kind of compared to Jesus freaks of the 60s and 70s. So I don't know if anybody's seen a movie. There's a movie that came out a little while back, and it was the movie about the Jesus freaks, and what they called them that, and I remember that. I mean, I was still pretty young at that time. I'm 62, but as far as that goes, that's where he got his notion. And he's saying that some were unkept, disheveled radicals. Liberation theologies began enshrining Jesus on posters in a trioca, along with Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. So, like, at that time, Jesus was kind of, you know, like that. If you've seen the shirts with Castro and Che Guevara on it, Jesus was kind of like that. Which, you know, it's not saying that that's a bad thing. It was just that it's the way it was when he was writing this book, and when he was telling us about his memories of that. So So Jesus wasn't the Captain Kangaroo. Jesus wasn't the Mr. Rogers, is what he's saying in this book. And so in 1971, he said he saw a movie called The Gospel According to St. Matthew. Yes, a revolutionary, exactly. Yes. He said in 71 he first saw a movie called The Gospel of According to St. Matthew. It was a movie directed by Italian filmmaker Pier Paolo Pasolini. And if anybody hasn't seen that movie, I recommend they look at it. It's called The Gospel According to St. Matthew. It's a black and white movie made in 1971, and it's completely different than any other Christian or Jesus depiction that I've ever seen. It was, it's verse by verse through the book of Matthew, and it's black and white, and it was from an Italian filmmaker who was not a Christian. At least he didn't profess to be one. Maybe he was going that way, but he was not professed to be one. So it's really interesting if you haven't seen that movie. And I when I was reading this, I was only on page 15 when I stopped, and I had to watch the movie because it was really good. So I encourage you to look into that. It's a really good movie. It's very different, and it's you have to turn on the subtitles. It's got English subtitles on the bottom, so it's very interesting. And he says here, Pasolini's film captures well the reappraisal of Jesus that took place in the 60s, shot in southern Italy on a tight budget. It evokes in chalky whites and dusty grays something of a Palestinian surroundings Jesus lived in. So it's very grainy. The movie is The Gospel According to St. Matthew, and it's on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. I think it's really good. So back then, it had the power of, this movie back then, he said it had the power to hush scoffing crowds at art theaters. Student radicals realized they were not the first to proclaim a message that was jarringly anti-materialistic, anti-hypocritical, pro-peace and pro-love. For me, the film helped to force a disturbing reevaluation of my image of Jesus. In physical appearance, Jesus favored those who would have been kicked out of Bible college and rejected by most churches among the contemporaries. He somehow gained a reputation as a wine bibber and a glutton. Those in authority, whether religious or political, regarded him as a troublemaker. And so he's kind of getting to that. I might have lost context on that statement right there, but the context was that, yeah, Jesus was a troublemaker, and he was not a rule follower when he was there, when he was living. And in the book, he continues to talk about some of the movies that he saw. And there was another one called So Long, Sweet Jesus. The title of, this is a book, I'm sorry. About the same time, a young life worker named Bill Milliken, who had founded a commune in an inner city neighborhood, wrote So Long, Sweet Jesus. The title of that book gave words to the change at work inside me. In those days, I employed as the editor of Campus Life, an official publication for Youth for Christ, who was Put Life magazine, an official publication of Youth for Christ. Who was this Christ after all, I wondered. As I wrote and edited the writing of others, a tiny dybook of doubt hovered just to my side. Do you really believe that, or are you merely dispensing the party line? So he's not really, at this time, he's really not believing what he's living. He's not believing where he's at in his life, and it's because his eyes are opening up as far as who Jesus really was. That he wasn't the long-haired, flowing, the Dalai Lama on the wall type Jesus. So as chapter 1 goes on, when I switched on my computer this morning, Microsoft Windows flashed a date implicitly acknowledging that whatever you may believe about it, the birth of Jesus was so important that it split history into two parts. Everything that has happened on this planet falls into a category of before Christ or after Christ, and that is true. He's saying that, yeah, right now it's either before Christ or after Christ. Everything in this earth, it's BC or AD. I mean, you got to look at the calendar, and pretty much everybody follows that calendar, as far as I know. So chapter 1 continues on, and he says, the Galilean who in his lifetime spoke to fewer people than would fill just one of the many stadium Graham had filled changed the world more than any other person. So Jesus Christ spoke to less people in his lifetime than Billy Graham talked to in just one of his concerts, or one of his, what do they call it? One of his things that Billy Graham had. So I thought that was really interesting. So he's saying, yet I am not writing a book about Jesus because he's a great man who changed history. I am not tempted to write about Julius Caesar or Chinese emperor who built the Great Wall. I am drawn to Jesus irresistibly because he positioned himself as the dividing point of life and in my life. Can I resolve this inner tension between doubter and lover? I tend to write as a means of confronting my own doubts. My book titles, Where is God When It Hurts, Disappointment with God, betray me, and I return again and again to the same questions as if fingering an old wound that never quite heals. Does God care about the misery down here? Do we really matter, was one of the questions that he was asking. Jesus got acquainted with grief in person, in a brief troubled life, not far from the dusty plains where Job had travailed. So who was Jesus? In the midst of such confusion, how do we answer the simple question, who was Jesus? Secular history gives few clues. Delicious irony, the figure who had changed history more than any other managed to escape the attention of most scholars and historians of his own time. Even the four men who wrote the Gospels omitted much of that would interest modern readers, skipping over 9/10 of his life. So there's 9/10 of Jesus' life that wasn't even covered, that only 1/10 of his life was covered in the Gospels. There's so much more to Jesus than we really know. And that's what I like about this book, pointing that out, that who was Jesus? Who was he really? Wasn't just about what we read in the Gospels. There was more to it. And I think that is really important. Jesus himself, there's another section here. Jesus himself, when challenged, did not offer airtight proofs of his identity. He dropped clues in there to be sure, but he also said, after appealing to the evidence, blessed is he who takes no offense at me. Reading the accounts, it's hard to find anyone who does not at some point take offense. To a remarkable degree, the Gospels throw the decision back to the reader. They operate more like a whodunit detective story, like a connect-the-dots drawing. I found fresh energy in the quality of the Gospels. So there was an Italian movie, La Dolce Vita, that he was talking about also. It was a shot of a helicopter ferrying a giant statue of Jesus to Rome, arms outstretched, Jesus hanging in a sling, and the helicopter passes over the landscape. People begin to recognize him. Hey, it's Jesus, shouts one old farmer, hopping off to the tractor to race across the field. Nearer Rome, bikini-clad girls sunbathing around a swimming pool, wave a friendly greeting, and the helicopter pilot swoops in for a closer look. So that's what he's getting at. And so he said his search for Jesus took off in a new direction when the filmmaker Mel White loaned me a collection of 15 movies on the life of Jesus. And I thought this was very interesting, okay? Check this out. They range from King of Kings, 1927, a silent classic by Cecil B. DeMille, two musicals such as Godspell and Cotton Patch Gospel, to the strikingly modern French-Canadian treatment, Jesus of Montreal. And he took these movies and he played them to his Bible college class that he was teaching for several years. And he showed them to the class, and every filmmaker who made those movies had a different depiction of who Jesus was. And so he was trying to show everybody that Jesus was not the person that we feel like was there. Jesus was a different person. So I started looking at those movies too. A lot of them are very different, like The King of Kings, 1927, and there's also some other ones he refers to later. You know some of those movies you've seen forever. There's a British one, The Greatest Story Ever Told, with Jesus. And that one was that was a UK, it was an English movie, and it was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, very straight up, speaking very very plain English. But that's not really what, I don't think that's who Jesus was either. And that's our preconceived notions of who we think Jesus is. And I don't think that's right. And that's what I love about this book. He says, a scholar at the University of Chicago estimates that more has been written about Jesus in the last 20 years than in the previous 19 centuries. So there's more being written about Jesus all the time. And in the last 19 centuries, there was really not that much new except for the Gospels that was actually written about Jesus. I think that is a very interesting point in this book. And to continue on with this chapter, just a couple more pages. He says, essentially, the film helps restore Jesus' humanity for me. The creeds repeated in churches tell about Christ's eternal preexistence, glorious afterlife, but largely ignore his earthly career. The Gospels themselves were written years after Jesus' death, from the far side of Easter, reporting on events as distant from the authors as the Korean War is from us today. So the Gospels were written, okay, so now it's 2024, the Korean War is 1950. So 75 years later is when the Gospels were written. So there has to be so much more about Jesus' life that we haven't seen, that we never heard about. So I think that's very interesting. Jesus as real as the air we breathe. Yes, he is. He is very real. So I just recommend this book. It's Philip Yancey's The Jesus I Never Knew. That's the first chapter. And I didn't really plan this very well, but I'm going to have a better synopsis of chapter 2 when I do my next book review of this book. And I think it's really good. I recommend it. And you can get it on Amazon Prime, and it's cheap. I think I saw one for $4. It might be on Goodreads also for free. I'm not sure. So that's chapter 1. I'm going to mark my place there. So hopefully you got something out of that. I wanted to move on to something else. Okay, I just want to encourage people. I'm 62 years old, and I've taken on a lot of things in my life that I really probably shouldn't, but I do because I want to keep myself young. And just to give you a little tour here, I've for a year now I've been renovating a Ford Transit, and this is one of the things that I've been doing. I bought this last year, and in Houston, it's so hot that I just can't get enough done on it that I want to, but this is what I got done. It looks pretty gutted out. This was a van that I bought, and it was completely shelled out. And I put so much work into this. I've laid the floors down. I pulled the seats out. Right there, I'm putting a pedestal so you can flip the chair around. A swivel pedestal. They're not very expensive. I did that. I have put this window in. I have put this window in. I put an air conditioner in. That's a 12 volt. It's going to be solar powered air conditioner. That wasn't cheap. And then I have a max air fan that I put in. I have this marked because I'm going to put another window in here. And I have the framing up right now. And I'm still working on the framing. I'm just about done with the framing. And I've insulated everything. I put kill mat behind the insulation. And I'm working on it slowly but surely. And hopefully I'll have this done with another few months. I say it in another few months. I sure hope so. But I've really come a long way with it. My wife has helped me a little bit. But yeah, yeehaw, thank you. Yeah, it's it looks like a mess. I haven't cleaned it up. It's been so hot, But I usually put a fan in here. I have a little extension cord that I run to the house, and I put one of those big circulating fans right here, and it keeps it pretty cool in here because it's so well insulated. I really don't even have to open the doors or anything. My dogs are growling at me. And this is the tool setup I have. I have a workbench covered up because we were getting a little bit of rain, but that's my tool bench right there, or workbench, and this is my tools and my table saws right there. And I got a lot of stuff going on. My wife does a lot too. She has a big garden going on, and she has zucchini and cucumbers and tomatoes, and that's a big moringa tree that there's two of them, it looks like, that finally sprouted up. That project for the van I've been doing I bought it June of last year. It's a slow mover. I work a full-time job and I work a lot of hours. And so I haven't had the time that I really want. But like I said, I'm 62 years old. It's something I plan on having done for the wife and I, to do some traveling when I retire, which won't be too long. But I am trying to stay active, and I bit off a lot with that. And also, just want to give you guys a little bit of context here. What I'm doing, I have a little weight room set up that I use. I don't know if the light's going to help that much, but I have a treadmill, and I have an elliptical and a bench with a few weights on it. It's only got 45 pounds on each side. And I have an overhead press, and I use that for curls too, and got some dumbbells. So some of my other live feeds, I want to be doing some workouts and just trying to encourage people, especially older people that might be, discouraged and not wanting to work out. And they can see that some of us old people can stay in shape, and we can do a lot in our lives that can have longer lives. So here's my bike. And that's something else that I picked up within the last month or two. Again, I was riding it a lot, but I'm gonna try this over here and show you. It's not an expensive bike by any means, but it's a Genesis, and it's a 29-inch. Yeah, just doing it little bit by little. It's a 29-inch. It's good for me. I'm 6 foot tall, and I have I bought that bike probably 10 years ago in North Carolina, where I used to live, for about $10, and it's still doing okay. It's a 21 speed, 29-inch. I haven't replaced anything. I'm gonna have to replace the back tire soon because it's got a slow leak on it. But I put some little lights on it that gives people some attention to me when I'm riding. They say you should put these lights on the front and the back, even during the daytime. And being that this is Houston, Texas, I think it's a good thing. But I stay pretty active. I love riding bikes. It's really so much fun, and it's so good because you can do it in the summertime in preheated conditions, and you really don't feel it. Like today I was riding a little bit, and I had a video. Well, if you want to stay in shape and you're very short, they have the smaller bikes. So you can get a 26-inch and even a 19-inch. Don't know how tall you are, but that's what I would recommend. My wife's only 5'2", and there's no way she could even get up on this bike. So yeah, I would go with like a 26 inch, or I think they make them 22 inch, and they even have some small e-bikes too. And I don't know how much they are for how good they are for staying in shape, but I'm probably gonna have to get my wife one, especially when we start doing more traveling and stuff, because that bike's just gonna be too. I mean, she's just not gonna be able to ride just a regular bike, especially not at first. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna step out of here, and so I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, and I try to stay in shape. And now that I'm getting older, I think I'm in better shape now than I was maybe 10 years ago. My job is really sedentary, and so I go to the extra trouble to actually make sure that I do things that keep me active. And whatever I can do, I try to do fishing. I got a license. I haven't been this year, but I try to fish, and I try to do stuff that just keeps me active. So yeah, I think bike riding is excellent, especially if you're not really athletic. Bike riding is perfect. You know, I played sports when I was in high school, but I haven't really done anything since then except for just work out and stuff. But I'm trying, and if I can encourage anybody to do anything like that, yeah, I definitely will. And I think that's all a part of my channel. My channel is the Encourage Network, and I don't know if anybody's seen my hey Najia. I don't know if anybody's seen my channel, but I have a lot of videos that I do, and they're mostly just verse by verse Bible shorts. I don't have a lot of time working full time to do any like really long, you know, high quality, long videos. Fishing is not exercise, I know, but at least I'm out there doing something. I know when you sit in a chair next to a river on a beach, it's not exercise. But on the other hand, when I was in North Carolina, we lived for a little while on the beach, and when you get out on the surf and you're surf fishing, that's pretty good exercise, especially if you're out there, you know, up to your waist, you know, casting a fishing rod. Yeah, it's pretty good exercise, but no, not necessarily exercise. That is definitely true. Laughter King, how you doing? I like that name. And Stephen West, you're right. But I would definitely do some bike riding, you know, especially if you're older like me. Walking just seems, I have a treadmill. I haven't used it for a while. I did have a Planet Fitness video membership. Well, I still have it, but I haven't been for a while. I got to cancel it because I just can't get over there. And but I bought the treadmill, and there for a while I was using that treadmill all the time. But since I found this bike to ride, I just enjoy riding the bike so much more. And and I'm gonna post some videos. I did have a video that I posted today, and I tried to upload it and make a regular video out of it, but for some reason, it just didn't upload right. The speed was wrong. But anyway, I thought that was. I thought I really enjoyed bike riding, and I enjoy lifting weights, and that's one thing that I'm really. I try to keep my body toned up very well, and I try to eat right. And as an older person, I think it's very important. I don't drink, I don't smoke. Go to church on Sunday, and I pray and I read my Bible, and I'm blessed. Hopefully a lot of you are blessed. And if anybody needs any prayer, let me know. I'm welcome to pray for you. Leave a note in the chat, and I'll be happy to pray for you. A little bit about myself. Let's see. I was saved when I was 15 years old in Bloomington, Indiana. That's where I originally grew up, and went to the military when I was 19. Kind of fell away from the Lord for about 11 years while I was in the military. I was in the Air Force and in the Army Guards for a couple of years after that, and so kind of fell away. But when I got out of the Air Force, things kind of got dicey for me. I wish I would have stayed in, but I didn't, and I really suffered. Me and the wife, we at that time we had a child, and we had another one after that, and got dicey. So we rededicated our life to Jesus, and got more involved with church. Actually, went to Bible college in Columbus, Ohio, and helped pastor a couple of churches for a while, and then just kind of stayed with ministry since then. Not not with the same church. We did move a little bit. I've been promoted a couple of times and had to move here in Houston about 7 years ago from my job, which I'm blessed to be. And so that's kind of it right now. I work a full-time job. I work for energy company, and it's a great job. I just don't have a lot of time to do any ministry work because I work rotating shifts, and try to keep them filled up with the ministry part of it. I try to live my life for God. I try to really use every minute I can to try to do something for Him. Yeah, I do. I seem to have a full life, and I can't get everything done that I want to get done. I don't know if it's just my personality. I don't know if I'm ADHD or anything like that. I don't even know if that matters. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on, and I can't do everything that I want to do. Am I your grandpa? So anyway, God bless you, everybody, for being on here. I really want to thank everybody for being on, and I'm gonna go ahead and just finish up. I've been here about 36 minutes. You can go back and read the, or you can watch this again, and I will have another one, and hopefully everybody will tune back in when I have another one. It should be tomorrow, hopefully, if I have time. So God bless everybody, and we love you, and have a good day.